In this video, I'm going to teach you how to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator properly to drive qualified leads for your business. The stuff that I'm going to teach you, I actually learned in a $1,000 course around 3 or 4 years ago. So you're going to get a huge amount of information for free to use in your business. Now, the interesting thing is I don't believe that 90% of the people know how to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator correctly. I know this because I've spoken to around 300 business owners and I've tried to hire people off Fiverr and Upwork to do these tasks for me. So you're going to learn how to do it yourself, and then you can give this as training to them in the future. So to go into detail, like LinkedIn Sales Navigator, the problem that I'm seeing is that outreach is all about messaging and the right leads. And like 99% of people or 90% of people don't know how to get the right leads. Like this is a huge problem. So there are a lot of specific things you need to know on Sales Navigator to use it correctly, and I'm going to walk you through them. The reason why there are a lot of specific things is because they're selling data and they don't kind of want you to access all of it easily. Otherwise, there's no need to be subscribed to them. So there's a reason why they're making it difficult. And also their data is not 100% clean. So they can't give it to you in the most cleanest way either. So if you watch this video, I promise you, you will become a top 1% LinkedIn Sales Navigator user. Like, this is a complete promise. In this big tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use account filters, lead filters, account lists, Boolean searches, industry filters. So you just skip through to the parts that you need. Superpowers, I'm going to show you activity signals, scraping tools, save searches. This is so powerful. Outreach tools that I don't even need scraping, like super cheap. And then at the end, I'm going to teach you how to scrape a couple sectors that I know people struggle with, like specifically SaaS and ecom. And then one about decision makers with budget to spend right now on your services. If you still need help after all this, I mean, there's going to be like a good 30-minute, 50-minute video, whatever. I'm going to drop a Calendly link in the bio, and I will guarantee I will solve your search and data issues in 25 minutes guaranteed. There's going to be like lots of limited slots on this one because I just don't have time, but I just want to help you guys out. So let's get straight into Sales Navigator. So I'm literally going to search Sales Navigator, LinkedIn. So there it is. So if you click over here, you're now going to see Sales Navigator. This right thing is a Chrome extension we built. Ignore that. Okay. So this is what Sales Navigator looks like. When you look into it, there's the home, accounts, leads, messaging. I don't use messaging because it's a completely different inbox to your LinkedIn inbox. Big point number one. Just kind of ignore it for now. Home is where you see these like alerts. Again, I don't really use this because I'm not an SDR or an AE trying to do like super specific one-on-one interactions. I'm going to show you how to like get a long lead list that you can just push into tools or like manually outreach like 1,000, 2,000 leads. If you use this, you're doing like very one-to-one interactions. Don't worry about it for now. The things that you care about, again, ignore all of this. The things that you care about are lead filters, account filters, save searches, and that's basically it. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like sections of this you really care about. So firstly, what the hell is an account? What the hell is a lead? An account is looking at companies. So if I, for example, put a location of, you're only going to see companies here. If I go to leads and I do a lead filter search and I do a job title, CEO, I'm only going to see people. So here's like the first problem that you're going to run into. You want to talk to certain people at certain companies. If you use one of these tools, one lead or one account, you don't do that. You can only speak to the leads or the accounts. You need to combine that data together. So the first thing you need to do when you use LinkedIn is you need to think about who are you targeting? Who are you trying to go for? If you're going for people at a certain type of company, you must start with the account. You must build an account list, and then you must go into leads and look for people at that account list. If you're just looking for people, like you don't care where they work, then you can just go into leads. And let me give you an example. For example, say you're selling a tool to SEOs, like you're selling a SaaS software that helps SEOs do their job. You don't need to use accounts. You just go like a SEO job title. You might even do this. And this gets it really specific. Just put SEO. And now you're only going to see people that have SEO in their job title, like super clear. When you do it this way, you're getting all the right people in one go. But say, for example, you want to see all the SEOs at an advertising, sorry, at a marketing agency. Like that's harder. People make the mistake of scrolling down to industry and clicking advertising stuff. This is like the typical one for agencies, by the way. This is a big error, big rookie error. This industry filter is applied to the person, not the company. Now think about your industry filter. Like you have a LinkedIn profile. Do you even know where to change your industry filter or like how to change it? And do you change it when you move jobs? Like hell no, no you don't. This is a horrible feature. Like LinkedIn should not even have this. This is like a red flag. If you use this, you're going to do stuff wrong, generally speaking. So try to ignore this as much as possible. So that's just an explanation of what leads are, what accounts are. We're going to start with accounts in this tutorial, and I'm going to show you how to build an account list. So when you're looking for accounts, you're looking for companies that are qualified for what you want to do and what you want to sell. And here are all the filters that you can use. I tend not to use revenue because it's like an estimated metric. It's not an amazing estimated metric. If you want to look, for example, let's go look, let's say, where's this number coming from? Annual revenue, LinkedIn, sales navigator, account data. Like, where is this even coming from? Like, it's not even clear where this data piece is coming from. I don't even know. I can't even tell. It's not clear where they got this data from. Like, how do they know the annual revenues? Unless they're scraping it, and I don't trust them to scrape it properly. Company headcount is a really good one. So we almost always want to use company headcount as a proxy for revenue. So say you want to speak to a company that does about $1 million in revenue, probably going to have 1 to 10, 11 to 50 employees. The reason I do 1 to 10 is because some companies have like, 3 or 4 employees on LinkedIn and then like 5 off of LinkedIn. So that is a $1 million company. So you've got to be a bit broad here. So this would capture anyone to about, 0 to $1 million, 2, 3 million revenue range. Can go up to 5 million if you're using 50 people. I generally have this in my head. I think like one person is worth like 100K in revenue. It's like a rough proxy I used. I remember learning that from like private equity days, and it's kind of accurate. So this will get me like, let's say 0 to 5 million in revenue. I then think about other ones like headquarters location. This is interesting. Typically, again, like, most companies that you want to sell to are going to be like first world countries. So we're typically thinking United States, Canada, like then I don't do North America. Like technically like North America captures all this, but I just do it anyway to like be complete. So like that's North America, then I do United Kingdom. Like this is like tier 1. You can do Australia as well, but it's difficult to send to Australia if you're in the wrong time zone. This is like tier 1 countries, let's say, that you want to sell into. 10 million companies, 0 to 5 million revenue. Easy. Number of followers, I don't really use this as a metric. Like I don't think about this too much. It's not a good proxy on here. Department headcount will go into that. Headcount growth will go into that. Company headcount growth is a really good proxy for if a company is growing. Now there's this company headcount and there's department headcount growth. What happens here is LinkedIn is analyzing all the people at the company and trying to ascertain which department do they exist to, and that's dependent on their job title. So typically it's pretty good. Like if you say marketing, you're going to get the right marketing headcount people. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good, so you can use it. Now, when I say pretty good, it's important to be clear here. Your searches on LinkedIn, you're never going to get a 100% clean list. At best, you're going to get like an 80% clean list, a 70% clean list. And it's supposed to be a little bit blurry because of the way they're selling data, the way they were interacting with this platform. The only way to make it 100% is to clean the data afterwards manually, and we don't really want to do that. Like we need to be accepting of the fact that you're going to outreach to the wrong people sometimes, but you're doing a bit of volume, so it doesn't matter that much. Now, if you're running a business that is very specifically targeted, yes, you will manually comb through your lists, but for 80% of people watching this video, maybe 90%, you don't care if you hit 20% of the wrong people. It's not a huge issue. Cool. So we've done this. Company headcount growth, like don't be too aggressive here. Like think like 10 people, a 10% headcount growth on a 10 people company is 1 extra person they've recently hired. Like that's not a lot. That's like not a lot at all. So if you are going to do this, just be careful. Like 5%, 10% is kind of enough. Like 10% on a 50% is 5 people. Again, that's a lot. If I did 10%, like that 10 million result, let's see how much that drops by. Maybe like 2 million companies. If I do, let's do minimum 10, sorry. That's not go small, I know it. Like, yeah, 1 million. So that's 10% of businesses have hired between, let's say, 1 and 5 new people. Again, very small. So be careful about this one because it's not an amazing metric when you're at small headcount numbers. When you're at big headcount numbers, it gets a bit easier because obviously the averages average out. Industry. This is super important. Like, to getting your industry filters right are kind of hard because you need to, like, that's like this thing here. It's hard for 2 reasons. I'm going to write some notes here for you. Industries. So firstly, I'm going to go back a little bit. Okay, so we have like leads and accounts are not the same. Big point. And then we're going to say industry filters. Industry filters are hard because, one, companies don't describe themselves correctly. This industry filter, and don't update it. This industry filter was applied or made when they made the company. So there was like, the CEO was like, I'm an online media company, like 10, 20, 30 years ago. And it's hardly ever changed. It's very rare for it to be changed or for someone to care about changing it. So that's one problem. The second problem is that there is like hierarchies to Sales Navigator. There are super industries that cover lots of small ones. So for example, like, I don't know, if you could like search HR, it will also cover some smaller ones inside. So if I search like LinkedIn industries list, if you search on here, let's look at this person's one. So like, this is the full list of industries apparently. Like, that's pretty good. But let's say like vehicle repair and maintenance. If I control F vehicle, there's like a lot of different types of vehicles. They're not all separate things. Like if you did like motor vehicle and motor vehicle parts manufacturing, you might see the same company. So let's try that. Motor vehicles. Okay. This one, so we saw 780 companies, and then motor vehicle manufacturing, 110K. So that's a big like, that's just a very big difference. If I don't do that one, 780. Okay, so this is an example where they're actually quite separate. So you can like use these to like work out like, is this all separate? But some of these companies for sure will be like coming under like a master list. So let's say LinkedIn industries full list hierarchy. Okay, here we go. This is a good one. It's like, there's like buckets. So if we search, I'm trying finance now, for example. Okay, I can't find it for whatever reason, but there are like hierarchies to this, so just be careful. Like, and this is like clearly not a full list. Like, be careful. Like, there is no way this list is equal to this list. This is a really good list. So you got to be careful about how you do it. And the only way you can work it out is, like, the best way to work it out is find like 10 companies that are like really good for your company to outreach to. Go onto their LinkedIn profiles and then see how they describe themselves. So if I view company, like, they're describing them as a staff and recruiting company. So I'm going to go, let's copy this over. So let's view it on linkedin.com. So you'd find a company and look at, oh, they're staffing and recruiting. So maybe I need to like outreach to all the staffing and recruiting companies. Like, that's how you can do it. So, yeah, going back here. So you have industries. Don't use followers. Department headcount growth. If you're selling into like marketing departments and they're growing, it's like a good proxy for you to like sell services. Like, that's where you can use this. Again, I'll use it at bigger companies, so like the growth rates are like, averaging out correctly. Fortune, I don't use It's fine. There's like another proxy for like, big companies basically. Technologies. This is quite interesting. I haven't completely tested how good all these technologies are. I know Shopify is pretty good. So if you're looking for e-com, this is like a pretty good search that gets people that have a Shopify technology on their platform, and they've like scraped this data. I remember actually looking at built with, or store leads, and comparing the store leads data to Apollo data on the technology to LinkedIn. And I was like, this is pretty similar. It's like you kind of don't have to use, they kind of all work a little bit. So you can kind of use Sales Navigator. But for example, say you sell WordPress stuff, like that's quite good to know that they use, I don't know, WP something. Like all these WP stuff is WordPress stuff. I think I closed the tab by accident. Oops. So yeah, WordPress is like a pretty good technology to use. Now, these spotlights are really interesting. You can see if they're hiring on LinkedIn, if they got recent activity changes, and if they got connections with you. The best ones here are hiring LinkedIn is a good indicator. If you're selling some sort of recruiting service, that's obviously useful. Like they're active on the platform is like another metric. This company's active. And they're growing. These ones are really interesting. If they got a senior leadership change, like there's something going on here they can buy. They have funding events again, like another one. If you're like selling into funded companies, that's super useful too. Now say, look, I want to hit accounts that are like recently fundraised, like they got budget. It's interesting. You have an account list, and say I want to look at CEOs of this accounts for whatever reason. I need to save it to a list to then apply a lead search to. So this is the next level here. Once you have a list of accounts, so first like use spotlight features if useful. Once you have a list of accounts, you need to save it to an accounts list. It to an accounts list to run a lead search on. So what you do over here is you go, and this is like super manual. You got to click here, save to list. Let me call it LinkedIn YouTube test video. And you got to scroll down. This is so painful. You got to go to, and you got to like smash this out. And like, people will be like, "Oh, this is so painful." Like, it doesn't take. Like, you can do maximum. This is an important data point. You can do maximum 1,000 companies in an account list. So the natural next question is: imagine that you had more than 1,000 here. Like, what do? You have more than 1,000 here. If you have more than 1,000 here, you need to separate and cut your data. So let's do that for you. Imagine I got 10 million. I want to get like all, like this first is too big. You want to get to like max 5,000. Let's make this list a little bit smaller. Let's only do UK for whatever reason. Let's only do United States, a bit easier. 46k companies. Like this is a big list. Like I want to hit all these people for whatever reason you think this is important. I think this is still too big, to be honest. Okay, 15k. How do I hit 15,000 people if I can only add 1,000 to a list at a time? You've got to separate this list into 15 lists, essentially. Now think about this. In the UK, in the United States, there's like smaller places inside that. So you have California. By adding somewhere that's inside the United States, I obviously don't increase this list size. But if I remove this, if I remove it here, I've got a list of 2k. Interesting. How do I make this even smaller? Los Angeles. Boom. This is my list of 1k companies. Okay, I'm going to be like maybe like 1.4. I've lost some companies, but okay, it's whatever. I can then add these guys to the list. Okay, I'm going to like add this to my list again here. And you go through and you literally keep adding until your list hits 1,000. I know this is painful, guys. There is no way to get around this, unfortunately. I've like looked around a lot. If someone knows a way, like drop it in the comments below. I would love to use it. But this is how you have to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now, question, like, why have they done this? They've done this because they don't want you to access all the data so easily. If someone is able to scrape their whole database, why would you pay a recurring fee? You wouldn't. You just like scrape someone else's database. So this is why. Anyway, imagine I've done this all. It would hit 1,000, whatever, issues done. Next thing you can do, by the way, FYI, you can save search to get notified of new results. Super powerful. So if you click save search here, and you click manage save searches, it's over here. Like this search is always saved. And you can, when you come back to this, it will say like 50 new companies that like enter into this range. It doesn't happen that often because companies like are kind of static. Like companies don't change so much. People in companies change a lot more. You can rename this if you want to, whatever. All good. Now let's go to the leads. Imagine I want to find all the people that work at these companies. When you click leads, LinkedIn does a stupidly annoying thing where it copies the filters from here into leads. But look what they've done. This was an account industry, and now I'm calling it a lead industry. Like, why? That's like so bad because that's like definitely not the same thing. So you've got to actually remove all these. Be careful. Now, for whatever reason, you might be like, oh, that's all my filters, and they're not. Click this button. You now see all the filters. People don't realize this, and they're like, oh, that's all I get access to. Click the button. There's a lot more available to you. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to account lists, and you're going to add the account list in. What this is doing is saying these are all the people at those, I think it was around 200 companies. Let me check. Around 200 companies. Sorry, I can't check, but I remember. There's 8,000 people that work at these 200 companies. Now you can start looking for decision makers at those companies. So the very first thing to do is obviously the first thing you do is job title. Like most of the time, you're going to look for founder. And you look for other job titles. Before I get into this, look at this guy. This guy is sales executive at Good Shuffle, but somehow he's coming up on a founder search. This is really important to understand. So let's look at his profile. And again, I hate using Sales Navigator for this, but let's look at it. Why does he come up as he's clearly a sales executive? Why is he a founder? Oh, that's why. He's got a second job that he's present on. This is annoying, and this is why sometimes you will find incorrect leads creeping into your main search. You can't do anything about it. Well, you can, and I'll show you how. This is going to happen, and you have to accept this is part of the blurriness you're going to get with LinkedIn. If people have multiple jobs or they say multiple things, you're going to call out the wrong people, and it just is what it is. And it's like whatever, move on. It's happened. But if we go back to here, like how would I have known that this guy wasn't? It's a bit hard. So imagine I searched founder. He disappears now. Well, he's still here actually, my bad. He's still there. Again, because he's got founder somewhere else in the business. Again, super annoying, super hard, but it is what it is. The only way we would know is by looking at his headline. And we can't search for headlines on LinkedIn. Like that's not possible. So therefore you can't remove him. And it is just what it is. Now, notice, do we have any co-founders here? It doesn't look like it. And this is going to happen all the time. You're going to be like, I searched for a job title and I expected it to have the other one, but it didn't. So the way you do this, you've got to like have your mind aware. You've got to go for tests. So let's look at co-founder and founder. So before it was 457, after 4, and then so clearly adding co-founder did something. So if I exclude these guys, it's 215. So again, like when I did founder, it was not 215. Now it's 457. If I remove this one, 203. Like these numbers aren't adding up. Just FYI. Just like this is something weird that happens. So there's always like weird hierarchical rules that are happening on like a lead level. Like this is not this, but this is this. And it might be because someone's called themselves a co-founder or I don't know, a CEO, whatever. There's multiple things going on. This is again why you have blurry data. You're never going to get 100% accurate. So if you're hiring a lead gen agency and you're like, oh, your data is incorrect, like really, like they're not going to check every single row. It's like so much work. But this is what happens. So let's imagine going for founders and co-founders, and naturally, the CEO probably fits that decision making. 494. Let's look at this one. It's like CEO. Like this captures people that write CEOs. So LinkedIn's done a bit of work here, and they worked out that this is also another thing. And you can also just write CEO if you really wanted to. 173. Again, it makes a difference. You've got to be careful here. It literally makes a difference. co-founder, co-founder, founder. I generally just do like all the variations that I know will work. Like, I don't mess around with it. And I've got like a decent list here. Now you've done this, cool. Current company, it's all good. Like these things you've already done already, so you don't really care about them too much. I then like to apply a personal level to the people working. Like I kind of want, if you're working for an American company and I want to sell to you and you have a budget, you're probably also going to be living in America, probably. So what I like to do is I like EMEA. That's interesting. Like there's a lot of people that work at American companies that will live in EMEA, United Kingdom, Israel, whatever. Just be aware, like these guys can pay for your services. Maybe they're not the right people for it. Maybe it's not right. Who knows? But you can just be aware like this is happening. So I generally like to just avoid APAC. So let's look at APAC here. Yeah, these guys don't get outreach that much. Good for them. Like they're not going to get a huge amount of outbound. I'll generally exclude them. Generally, the budget's not there. You can do stuff here. You can do years in current company. Maybe you want like if you're like a founder CEO, you kind of want them to be around. Maybe they've been in. This is going to be older companies, obviously. You can play around with that. Buyer intent. I don't really use it that much. Best connection path. Now, this is interesting. So if you look at first reconnection, these people I'm connected with, so I can't really outreach them. So technically, I should be looking at secondary connections and third degree. Like these people I'm going to outreach to technically, and then connections of. So this is a really clever hack. So if you know someone that like knows a lot of people, if you use this, you can be like, hey, I know you're connected with this person. Can I ask you a few questions? So typically I'd be like, just do my co-founder is like a really good one. I'm like, yeah, you connect with my co-founder. Question. It's like there's a bit of warmth here. If you're an SDR or like you're a junior, not a junior, but like you're not the CEO of the company, you can outreach to the CEO's connections from your account using this technique. So like use your CEO's connections and do that. Past colleague, interesting. This one works really weird for me because like I have McDonald's as a past company. So sometimes I get McDonald's people. I used to work at JP Morgan. It's a very big company. How will I ever know these people? I don't, but it's valuable, I guess. Shared experiences I don't use. Again, like it's like groups. So I was in the cannabis space. I guess that's where that's coming from. But there's stuff there. This is the really interesting one. I love using posted on LinkedIn. Posted on LinkedIn is one of the only, so this one and change jobs. So change jobs give me 33 people. And then posted on LinkedIn, what it does is it does like a Venn diagram of the two, like it's an and, it's not an or. But this one over here is super valuable because it's like, if you're posting on LinkedIn, you're clearly active on the platform, so you're going to see my connection request. This is in the last 30 days, by the way. So sometimes you can click here and you can see what's going on. What does it mean? So best path in. This is like, you need to be using this feature. So I'm like, go back here and pull like, there's like a bit I told you I'm going to do like superpowers. I'm going to explain to you here. A big one is posted on LinkedIn. This can like 2 to 4x your connection rates, FYI. And that's wild because it's like, if you're average to 1,000 people and there is only 200 of them are active and you only average to the 200, you're going to have a much higher connection rate. That's like super simple. So everyone has to be using that feature. If you're not using that feature, you're like literally leaving money on the table. Cool. So if we carry on, so we do posts on LinkedIn, you have a list, super valuable. This is a really good list. Now, what you can do with this list, you can do 2 things. You can either scrape the data on this list, and you can scrape that data on the list, or you can push it into a tool that does it all like automatically for you. And I'm kind of going to go into that shortly, but not straight away. I'm going to look back on here. So I've shown you like account lists, feed lists. This is important. Boolean searches. Okay, I kind of showed you save searches, but not completely. Now, save searches are interesting because save searches, you can also apply them on the lead level. So this save search is really powerful because if I go to save searches over here, this will be like 20 new, this will change a lot. Like people will come up on here. So founders, CEOs, all these people at this account list will suddenly start posting on LinkedIn, and they will become like active people. And then you can outreach to them because you know they're active on the platform. And that's more valuable. So what I like to do is I like to save my good lists. And I save the good lists because it enables me to come back to them all the time. And it's like super valuable. So definitely save your good lists, sorry, your good searches that capture the right people. The next thing you can save on searches is base lists. So for example, this list is cool. And say like these, like all these like job titles, locations, these connections, all these things are good, but you're going to keep changing your account list because you had a 15K list and you had it into 15 accounts. Click X, save this as well, and call it like, okay, I've got like an issue here. Whatever. So this was the, which one was it? Okay, I can't remember. I think it was probably, I think it was like the newest one goes to the top. Now on the newest one, I'm going to rename it and I will call it something like base search. Sorry, I keep clicking the wrong button. I'd be like C-suite CEO founder base search apply accounts. And this is like how I remember, like, oh, this is like my base search. So I can just like open this and just change the account filter whenever I needed to. And that makes my job of like moving and making accounts really fast. So that's how you use save searches really well. So the activity signals, the main ones are the spotlight events. So these are the company ones over here. And then they're posted on LinkedIn. Like those two are like the main ones you can use and they're really valuable. Oh, there's like also like the funding ones. So that's what's super valuable there. Industry filters I showed you, like there's lists, like you need to search for the list and you need to play around with them and you need to look at other people. Boolean searches. Let's do that first before talking about scraping. This thing over here is really valuable and it's valuable for certain industries. Like if you try to look for SaaS companies, like software, you're going to struggle a lot. Because like software development is going to come up with agencies, it's going to come up with software development companies. Because I think Twitter calls themselves a software development company on here. So how do you know? And how do you reach out to the right companies at the right places? And the way you do it is use Boolean searches. So for example, you can write HR software over here. And I get all the HR software people, and it looks in the in the company name, and it looks inside this about section over here. So for example, HR Cloud said this, and I've got a really clean list of HR software companies or people that technically could be helping people make HR software. Like this is where it gets blurry again. You're not always going to get the thing you're thinking about. You're going to get the people that serve that industry. And say, for example, we'd be like, but not agency, I think is the way you do it. So now this is like not people that have the word agency in there. If I do and agency, these are the agencies, people that have the word agency in there and HR software. So like there's things going on here which you can think about. Now let's think about Boolean filters quickly. So let's go Boolean filters LinkedIn. Sales Navigator. So here's what it says. You can use blah, 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 coded search for the exact phrase. So yeah, quotation marks are really valuable. Buy-in, use not and or. The way it works really well is that so obviously you need this list. It's like a super valuable search term. Like come back to this. You need to play around with it to get your certain thing. When I was trying to get like a list of SaaS companies, I had to come up with a very specific, like it was long. It was like 30 terms. It was like, and this, and this, and this. Like not agency, not software house, not developer. Like you gotta like keep doing this. And as you do it, you're gonna get better and better at it. An easy way to do this is to go onto like apollo.io and like look at what they're doing and then use the same keywords across. But you basically need to come up with a really clean list of keywords and you've got to like manually do it and add to it to get a very, very clean list. So for example, if we look at retail, like typically people go for e-com and there's no industry for e-com. So you got to go retail and you're like, okay, what's inside retail? Like I'm not going to sell to Walmart. I'm going to sell to like brands. I'm going to say like, I don't know, apparel. Let's say gym. Like this is a retail, apparel, and fashion. Like now I discovered, oh, maybe this is an interesting industry. So this is when you can start using industries. So retail was the top level, but actually this was a sub level. This is how you start discovering data. These are gym companies that have a retail and apparel and fashion. So like this is quite good. This looks pretty good already. Clothing. Let's say gym and clothing. Getting a really clean list here. Again, you add them to a list, you save them down, etc. You go to leads, you find out who posted, you can DM them. Like super easy. Bit flow, but super easy. So I've kind of showed you how to scrape SaaS and ecom. And this holds true for all industries. Like you need to be able to identify the people that have the right keywords as the Boolean search and have the right industries as well. And you've got to play around with the data to get to it. Decision maker to spend with budget right now. This hack is super simple. You look at people that have changed job. So if they've changed jobs and they're a VP level person, like let's see their current job title is VP now. That's the vice president that changed job in the last 30 days. 76 people have changed jobs. It's still applying a account search somewhere, by the way. That's why this is a bit weird. But if we just go refresh that, go into leads, lead filters. Let's go back. Let's do change jobs. That's everyone that's changed jobs. Let me do VP. All the vice presidents that changed job. These are people with budget. Then you go, what if they worked at a company? Big company. Big companies, they got big budget. Interesting. What if they just moved into their job recently? Because they come from another company. Oh, this is interesting. These people they need to prove themselves in the company. What if they post on LinkedIn? Bam! What a clean list. Like there's money here. There's no industry filters on here, but there's money in this list. These people have budget, they want to spend it. What if they were working in the sales department? FYI, these like functions are pretty like not amazing. Let's put it this way: they're not like amazing. They're like very broad, but they can get you like a rough idea of like what does a list look like. Again, like okay, clearly not working. Maybe I write sales, VP of sales, vice president, VP sales, vice president of sales. You've got to like play around with this a little bit. You can now sell these guys sales software. I don't know. What if you want to think about people that are get North America? Maybe they've got to have like 10 years experience. They've got to like have been around the bush. They understand how companies work. These are good people to sell to. They're going to be hard to sell to. They're good people to sell to. So that's how you look for decision makers that have budget for your services right now. Okay, scraping tools and outreach tools. There are two reasons why you want to scrape data. Let me just go back to scraping. One, for whatever reason, you want the lead list as a CSV. So if you want to lead this as a CSV because you want to send LinkedIn DMs, send cold outreach, upload the list as a custom audience. Cold email, probably. That's what I meant by cold outreach. Cold audience to something. I'm not going to talk about this one. This is like super specific. I doubt anyone like wants to do that right now. But if you do, like whatever. LinkedIn DMs. There's a way to do this without scraping. We'll explain. Cold email. If you want to get cold email stuff and you want to like get your get like a list, find out the emails, send them emails. You can, the easiest way to do it, in my opinion, if you're using LinkedIn to do this whole workflow, is to use Find Email. And I'll have a link in the description. I prefer Find Email because it's super good. So Find Email, this is what Find Email is. It's like a Chrome extension, and what it does, it sits inside Sales Navigator, and there you go. So it like has this button that says like export to CSV. And if you click it, we'll just run through a list and export everyone for you into a CSV and find the emails. I like Find Email because it's a few things. One, it's cheap. Where's the data? Where's the pricing? It's cheap. Like 5K emails for $9, like that's dirt cheap. One is cheap. Two, it just fits into Sales Navigator. It's really easy. There's Apollo as well if you ever needed that. And the data is it's like one of the best providers for data, in my opinion. At this point in time, that is like constantly changing. There's always new tools popping out. But in my opinion, Find Email is the best one. I'm going to try get an affiliate link, and I'm going to get an affiliate link. I'm going to try put it in the bottom. Please use my affiliate link if you found this video useful. That'd be nice. Use my link. Thanks. So that's that one. Now, say for example, you just want to do LinkedIn DM. You don't do anything else. Let's make this super simple. Say LinkedIn DMs. You need to find, basically you want a way to like not have to scrape, but send messages. And in my opinion, the best way I've done this is through a tool. I've used all the LinkedIn tools, like outreach tools. I've used Dripify. I've used Walaxy. I've used Octopus CRM. Well, not to pronounce whatever. I've used Expandy. Literally all of them. I've used them over like last like 3 or 4 years. Dripify, good, cheap, but bad UI. Walaxy, bit buggy. Octopus CRM, like not great UI. Expandy, I used to use a lot, super slow. Like you click a button, it takes ages to load. The best one in my opinion is HeyReach. The reason why HeyReach is so good. One, it lets you like rotate LinkedIn inboxes so you can maximize your outreach volume. So like there's a limit on like how many outreaches you can do on LinkedIn. It's like around 100 to 250 per week. Imagine you had 5 people on an account and they were all rotating around the same list. You can now do 500 to 1,000 a week. Super useful. So that's very valuable. One fixed cost. Wow, very valuable. Like that's one play over here. Pricing is very affordable. Like if you're an agency, that's fine, but like $7, that's like pretty cheap in the grand scheme of things. That's like really good. So I like that one. And this is the most important thing. So let's say HeyReach Sales Navigator. I'm not logging into my account because I don't want to show all my flows, but what it does, see if this is it here. Okay. This is the sick thing. You can copy and paste this LinkedIn Sales Navigator URL. So like if you go to LinkedIn Sales Navigator, there's like a URL at the top. You probably can't see it on my one, but you can copy it and you can go to HeyReach and you can like click leads, search, and you can like paste it in here. And it scrapes it for you and then pushes it right into the campaign for you. So you just literally copy paste the URL. And then you can click play in like 4 clicks and you can have outreach sending. It's so fast. It's like so fast. So it's an incredibly powerful way to do it. So like I highly recommend. So that's that as well. So like outreach tools, use HeyReach. I'm gonna have a link in the bio for HeyReach because I really like them. Use them please. And that's that. Cool. So that's like how to do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you know all this stuff, like you're already a top 1% user. There's some more stuff, but that's like super specific. It's not very valuable. Now, if you still need help for whatever reason, like you want to scrape a certain segment that you can't scrape, I have a Calendly link in my bio. It's a paid link, FYI, but if you want to do it, click through there. I will solve your search or data issues, guaranteed, or like you don't pay. There we go. Or you don't pay. I guarantee it will be solved for whatever reason. I'll be like, you got to go to this place, get this data, you got to scrape it this way, whatever it is. But this is an amazing way. I hope you are more powerful at LinkedIn. You can use LinkedIn to get your leads into order. You can send them DMs. You can book meetings. And I hope that was useful for you. So thank you so much for watching, and tune in for the next one.